today I want to talk to you guys all about Monistat 7 for hair growth. I'm going to give you my pharmacist opinion, and yes, people are putting Monistat 7 all over their hair. In case you guys haven't seen this, so people are taking the Monistat 7, they squirt it into like a spray bottle, then they add water or coconut oil, they shake it up really good, and they put it on their hair before they go to bed. So then they sleep in it overnight, and then in the morning, they just go ahead and rinse their hair out, and they do this like 3 to 4 times a week, or some people are actually doing it every single day. And in a month, they're saying they have results with increased hair growth and also like increased hair volume. So more hair is growing all over their heads. So the next thing I did is I went online to PubMed. So PubMed is the best resource for biomedical research out there. They have tons and tons of studies you can search through. So the first thing I looked up was Monistat 7 for hair growth. And then I also looked up Miconazole 7 for hair growth. And that's because Miconazole is the generic. So when I did that, I came up with a whopping 0 results. So that means there were 0 studies that have been published based on Miconazole 7 in hair growth and Monistat 7 in hair growth. So the only thing that I could find that kind of mentioned Miconazole were a number of studies that were about Ketoconazole. So with the Ketoconazole, they were saying that that medication can actually decrease hair loss, and also it can increase the number of hair follicles. So if it's increasing the number of hair follicles, then you're going to have more hair growth. And then they're saying how the Miconazole and the Ketoconazole have similar chemical structures. So they're thinking that possibly the Miconazole could end up having the same properties and effects as the Ketoconazole based on their similar structures. So how does Ketoconazole actually work to increase hair growth? So Ketoconazole is an androgen receptor antagonist. And breaking that all down, so an androgen is a male sex hormone. And probably the most well-known of all of the androgens is testosterone, because just about everybody's heard about that. So women actually have androgens as well. It's just that we typically think of the androgens as being the hormones that make up the male physical characteristics. And so what happens is you have a cell and it has an androgen receptor on it. What happens is that Ketoconazole comes and it binds to that androgen receptor. And that prevents an androgen from binding to the androgen receptor and then increasing the amount of androgens made. So being, testosterone and things like that. So that will help people who have decreased hair growth or hair loss because of too much testosterone or too many androgens. So that's how they're thinking the Ketoconazole can decrease the hair loss and then also increase the number of hair follicles, which in turn can then improve your hair growth. So from what I found, it looks like the Ketoconazole does have proof to increase your hair growth and also decrease your hair loss. So I'm wondering why people wouldn't use something like the Ketoconazole or the Rogaine, which everyone has heard about Rogaine being available over the counter. So I'm just kind of wondering why people wouldn't use those and instead they'd use Monistat 7. For Ketoconazole, I think the reason behind that is all of the studies they've really done on the Ketoconazole shampoo have been done with the 2%. And the 2% is prescription only. You can actually buy a Nizoral AD, which is a Ketoconazole 1% shampoo without a prescription. It's just down the shampoo aisle. So people are kind of using that one for hair growth and preventing hair loss. Those people, they typically use it about 2 to 4 times a week. They leave it on for 3 to 5 minutes and then they rinse it out. So I feel like probably people aren't doing that one as much just because studies have been done with the 2% and that one you have to have a prescription for. As far as the Rogaine, so why people aren't using the Rogaine instead of the Monistat 7, I feel like it might be a price issue. So when I looked up the price of the Monistat 7 at Target, that one was $10.39. And then when I looked up the price of the Rogaine, they had a 4-month pack, and that one came out at a price of like $45. So depending on how you're diluting your Monistat 7, you can probably stretch it and make it last a lot longer, and it's going to be cheaper overall. My thing here would just be that there's studies behind the Rogaine and studies behind the Ketoconazole, but no studies behind the Miconazole itself. So overall, my pharmacist advice to you guys, if you want to improve your hair growth or prevent hair loss, you should stick to the Ketoconazole 2% shampoo or the Ketoconazole 1% shampoo that's OTC, and the Rogaine. So both of those have research behind them, there's scientific evidence, there's dosing, studies like that. The Monistat 7 or Miconazole 7, there is no research behind that. There are no studies. You don't technically know how to dilute it because everyone does their own little mixture. So who knows actually what concentration you're putting on there, what concentration you're supposed to use. So there's a lot of questions that are still out there. If you're gonna get something, just stick to the two that already have the evidence behind them, the Rogaine and the Ketoconazole 2% or the Ketoconazole 1%. That is my pharmacist advice to you. All right, guys, that's all I have in store for you. Please make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned next Monday. I'm gonna have another video with more pharmacist advice.